Thank you, Greg, for that empowering and inspirational talk. Our next speaker, Mr. Mitch Krayton. When was the last time you took a vacation? Mitch is a noted speaker, author, entrepreneur, and world traveler. His company, Krayton Travel, helps individuals, couples, families, and groups to see the world. Today, he'll discuss the importance of annual vacation time and why you need to plan now to see the places on your bucket list. Please help me welcome Mitch Krayton.
Have you had your vitamin T today? You probably had a vitamin A, a vitamin E. You probably took some good food this morning. You did something to help exercise and limber up your body. But I'm betting you didn't have vitamin T. And I'm here to report to you that we have a deficiency of vitamin T. And I'm going to share with you through a few stories why vitamin T is essential to your life. And the T in vitamin T is travel. I met Jane at the Innovation Pavilion just down the block here. Entrepreneur, hard-working entrepreneur, had a passion, a vision. Jane was going to build a new high-tech company, and she was going to be one of those nouveau riche multi-millionaires and ultimately sell out to a high bidder. And her journey begins by putting her plan together and working hard, and she finds people to work with her and build the prototype, and then she goes around trying to get some money, and the funds are difficult to get, so she's having to travel all over the country to get people to invest in her idea. She finally gets her first round of funding and hires her first group of people. Now, Jane is a very fun, brilliant individual. But Jane is now working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And in so doing, Jane is so focused on the business that she's starting to have aches and pains. The people around her are noticing that she's a little snappy, that money is always on her mind, delivery dates are always on her mind. She's not sleeping much, she's not doing well. The company is showing growth, but they all say if Jane keeps this up, she'll burn out. Jane has a vitamin T deficiency. Now, Bob, on the other hand, Bob works for a large corporation. Bob is in the accounting department, and Bob also works very, very hard. He gets a salary, but he is indispensable. And he too is working many overtime hours. And the company keeps praising Bob. Bob, you're terrific. Bob, you're indispensable. Bob, don't ever leave. And so Bob, even though he is adding up all of his accumulated vacation for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, never takes a holiday. And he's proud to say, I've got 15 days of accumulated vacation. And you say, well, why don't you go on a trip? And Bob says, well, I can't. They can't operate without me. Really? Sylvia, on the other hand, is the matriarch of a wonderful family. Sylvia she's lived a fantastic life. And she lost her husband, and her husband left her in good financial stead. And Sylvia has wonderful grandkids, too. Sylvia wants to make sure that these grandkids get their entitled college education. And so she sacrifices everything She spends none of her legacy on herself because she wants her kids, her grandkids, to have the college education so they'll be successful and remember her. Sylvia has a vitamin T deficiency. So when Jane comes in and talks to me, bloodshot eyes, completely slumped over shoulders, and said, you know, Mitch, let's have a cup of coffee. I got to talk about what's going on. And very often I will listen to entrepreneurs over the Innovation Pavilion, and they've got some operational issue, some financial issue, and I'm glad to advise. But she said, I am exhausted. And I said, well, you know what business I'm in. Let me send you away. Oh, well, what will happen? The people won't know what to do, and the bankers won't know who to call. And I said, well, if this business is really going to thrive, don't you have to trust and believe that they'll run the business just fine when you're not there? And what better way to test it than for you to take some time off? Do you have a bucket list of places you've been wanting to go? Oh, sure. You don't think I'm doing all of this just because I like working so hard. And I'm willing to bet if I asked everybody here in the audience today, do you have a bucket list? Do you have places you really want to see before it's the end of your time? And if you do, then why aren't you going? Excuse after excuse, the vitamin T deficiency is pretty bad. Now Bob is sitting there very proud that his company has such indispensable use of his time. And I met Bob at a mixer, and I said, Bob, you told me you have 15 weeks of vacation. What in the world? Why don't you take a holiday? Oh, well, I can't. They can't live without me. And I said, well, if working so hard is making you so stressful, and you had a heart attack and had to go into the hospital for 15 days, what then? Silence. I said, they're giving you a vacation because they want you to recycle your energy, to take a break. Sylvia, she has great intentions, and I must say I know a lot of seniors because I am one, and they want to leave a legacy to their grandkids. And I say to them, I have a couple of stories for you. I have people who have been heirs to some very large fortunes, who have taken that fortune and run it down the drain with great parties and extravagant spending, and they're miserable. So Sylvia says to me, well, what could I do differently? And I said, Sylvia, let me give you an idea. What if instead of giving your grandkids an education, which is something they should earn for themselves, you took the family on a family holiday? And you went away, and it was your treat. I ask you, will they remember the stories coming from that trip? Will they remember you? You bet. And she did that. And I got Jane to take a holiday. And I got Bob to take a holiday. I gave them a big dose of vitamin T. Why do we need to have a holiday? Why do we need to take a vacation and travel? You sleep every day. And I know all of you in the room have tried going without sleep for several days until you become a zombie. And not traveling has the same impact on your nervous system, your blood pressure, and everything else. We sleep because the brain demands it has to recycle itself. There are lots of things we've come to discover that the brain must reset itself every night. There are things in our mind, in our body that have to relax and reset so that when we wake up in the morning, we are refreshed and we are charged and we can do things. Travel is a bigger picture. It's a way to reset your entire world. How many in the room have traveled out of the country? Well, there you go. When you went, many of you went to places where they didn't speak your language, they didn't share our money, their customs and their food totally different. I'm guessing when you got back, you had some pretty cool stories to tell. I'm willing to bet that if I asked you, you could tell me that story right now. And as you tell me that story, you're going to stand up taller, your energy is going to get stronger, and you are going to feel like, wow, I get to relive that vacation all over again. And almost everybody says, I can't wait to go on another holiday. I can't wait to travel again. We still have a vitamin T deficiency. Why don't we travel? Why isn't that the same thing we do in our lives once a year that we do every night, going and getting some sleep? Common excuses. I can't afford it. I haven't got time. Who will take care of stuff when I'm gone? I have some ideas for you. When you leave here today, if I'm stimulating thought about bucket list, and it comes off of that movie about things I want to see and do before I die, write down on a piece of paper the 10 places, the 10 things you want to do before you are ready to say your farewell. And ask yourself, if you had to give anything up, would you trade something for one of those items on the bucket list? Whether it's the temples at Angkor Wat, it's dining at a Bordeaux chateau where you're drinking fresh wine that just comes right out of thieving of the barrels, or you're just on the beach of Hawaii, or trekking on a glacier in Scandinavia. Any of those things refreshes us because we don't do it here. We're also, when we travel, off of the grid. This dang thing has taken over our lives. And I want to share with you something that just happened to me this morning. My cousin was called up to Lebanon, Oregon. Internet sketchy at best. And she finally went to a Starbucks and said, Mitch, I had to communicate with you because I was hoping that I would be able to communicate with you sooner. Have you ever been off the grid for 3 days? Her very words. Now, you think getting off of drugs is bad, detoxing off of coffee is bad. Turn off your Facebook for a week and see what happens. You'll get calls from people saying, are you okay? Now, I grew up, I never had a phone in my pocket. I grew up, I never had Facebook, I never had Amazon.com. And the first 60 years of my life were pretty damn good, thank you very much. I'm willing to tell you that if you put this stuff away and lived in the moment of an island in the Tahiti area, or you went to an African belt and you saw the Big Five game, how would that improve your life? John got the message. When John came back, he was empowered. People saw he was refreshed, renewed. Matter of fact, the managers were a little concerned because they thought he was having too head down into the paperwork, and there was a new vice president position that came up, and guess what John got? The vice president position. When Jane went away, she came back and said, by gosh, I hired the best of the best, and I was right. My business wasn't in the tank, the work got done, and I can proudly say that I have built an industry that is more than just me. What a great validation. And here's what happened to Sylvia. Sylvia did take her family to the Caribbean, and they got an all-inclusive resort, and there were things for the young kids to do, and there were things for the older kids to do, and there were things for the seniors to do. There were 70 of them that came together on this one little resort, and they had their own private beach, and they did all of these things. Do you think that helped Sylvia feel younger? Do you think that the young kids got to bond with the older kids, that the seniors got to bond with the new generation? And when they got back, the stories they would tell are the same stories that I'm asking you to recall when you went on your trip and people asked you, tell me about that trip. My friends, we do not live to work. We work to live. And if we don't take vitamin T seriously, we will have really, really cheated ourselves out of a wonderful, wonderful